All right, we see a few faces here. Maybe a few more people are coming. I'm going to talk today about patient centricity. I think we heard that a lot of times already in some of the talks yesterday. And I especially want to share some learnings on how you can bridge the pharma and patient gap with being more patient-centric. And I assume you saw the title of my presentation. Maybe patient centricity is already something you've had touch points with. I would like to ask you, just as the audience, to get a rough estimation, how much or how many of you have actually direct contact with patients in their daily work? Like maybe just a quick hands up if anyone here has direct contact. Okay, normally we get a few hands when we ask this question. But yeah, I think this is pretty normal. The larger an organization is, the further away you are from the actual end users. And we also know that pharma has not just the end users as the patient, but also the HCPs as their customers. So yeah, I'm going to talk a bit more about how we can bridge this gap. And first of all, a few words about myself. My name is Schirin. I'm heading the product development team at ExoLife. ExoLife is a tech company from Munich. We belong to the top innovators in digital health in Europe. And we already work with around 30 pharma companies in Germany, to name some of them. Pfizer, Moderna, Bionorica. There's going to show up a slide with a few more logos later. And we are a market leader for patient companions. And yeah, but first of all, I want to go back to the problem and to the patient themselves. Patients usually, on average, have a 2-minute time to talk with a HCP in a doctor's checkup when they get a treatment. And I think 2 minutes, that might not even be the time that I've been here on stage. So you can imagine how much information you get out of it, especially if you think of a patient just receiving a new treatment, all the questions that you have in your mind, and what we see also every time we talk with patients in interviews, in user testings. Patients, they are very well aware of time is money for HCPs. So they don't even ask questions anymore. They don't even try to ask questions. So I think it's no surprise that on average or monthly, we have around 2 billion search inquiries on Google about medical topics. So pharma loses their patients to big tech companies like Google, like ChatGPT, rising a lot. And I think it's very clear that ChatGPT is not just a tool that people use in a business context. When we talk to patients from all kinds of social backgrounds, we already see that ChatGPT is something that arrived in the living rooms of patients, of people in general. And there are some recent studies which are quite alarming, I would say. I mean, there's different studies saying, okay, what is better, Dr. Google, Dr. ChatGPT? We can see that actually patients are more happy with answers from ChatGPT because they're more concise, they're more user-friendly, you don't have to look in too many sources. But I think what is quite alarming is the study in Australia showed that around 61 of the medical inquiries on ChatGPT are actually about high-risk questions, about questions that normally an HCP would consult the patients. So yeah, we lose the patient even more. I think emotional support is nothing new, especially in the area of rare disease, of severe conditions. People are longing for emotional support. They go to social media to have an exchange, and there is no fact check. You lose, again, the data of the patient. You don't really learn from them. And I think to draw an even more pessimistic picture here, times are changing. HCPs are becoming older, aging. There will be an even more bigger gap, less time for patients, and also there's a rise in bureaucracy and also the just complexity of modern medicines. You need more data to develop closer to the patient. So I think we can say that patients are currently a big loser in the healthcare system. Just facts. 60% of patients actually lack in health literacy. And what is even more shocking is that 10% of patients, so they do all this work, they look through all the sources, but they don't even trust it, right? So in the end, they're going to be left alone. And I think the first 3 points we talked about already, the challenges in the medical system are clear. Information gaps are clear, they're unmet, even though people research a lot. The emotional state is difficult, you live in isolation. And I want to go a bit deeper into the self-management point, because in the end, an HCP makes a consultation, but the patient is left alone with the decision, right? The patient is self-determined, they look for information to draw their own decisions, and it can be quite crucial that the patients are supported to make the right decisions for their health. And this is where pharma comes into place, and pharma loses too, right? I mean, there are different studies, you can find different numbers, but it's usually around 40 to 70% of patients that are not adherent with their treatment. That doesn't mean necessarily that they just stop with their treatment. They also don't even start. So they get the prescription, but they actually never start with a certain treatment because there's an information gap. And again, this results in also loss of revenue for pharma companies. So how can we help to solve this? This is something that we do as a company, so I'm a little bit biased here, but we believe that providing a digital patient companion can solve exactly this problem, and especially with being really patient-centric. Like develop this together with patients and also with HCPs, because if you don't get their support, you need to get the whole system on your side. So with a digital patient companion, you can not only help the patient, but also help the HCP to save time, to save patients stopping their treatments, and to get better treatment outcomes also for HCPs. So we believe every treatment should have a digital companion. It should be user-friendly. I think we had a talk before on the main stage about CRM systems and that they need to be user-friendly, and this is also exactly what patients expect, right? If you develop digital products, they need to be patient-friendly first. And the outcome of it is, that's the good thing about digital and not just handing over a little flyer or handing over the package leaflet. You will create a two-way dialogue between pharma and patient, because you get data back and you can react and actually talk to your patients if you want to do so. So the first 2 points, I think is pretty clear. Patients will be better educated. They will adhere as a result of that more to the treatment, but also you will get access to patient identification. You will be able to identify certain patient groups within your segments. You will be able also, together with HCPs, to monitor patients better. And you will gain a lot of data about your patients that we learned from AI. Data is more important than ever. You will need to also further accelerate your business, your AI solutions, and of course your drug development. And eventually increase the adherence, which is a big goal also from a financial side. So again, the question how. We had the discussion yesterday on the main stage. Should we build or buy? Again, I'm biased, obviously. But I want to do a little thought exercise, coming back to patient centricity. Think of it, you are a patient. I give you a little bit of data. Patients are multimorbid. I think if you just take an example of diabetes, I think 80 to 90% of diabetes patients, which is one of the biggest conditions in the world, are actually having at least one comorbidity. 70% of them have 2 comorbidities. So that already means that they have, most of the patients have 3 different conditions. They will most likely take 5 to 6 different medications. And imagine now every pharma company starts building their own patient companions. You will end up with probably 5 different apps on your phone. You will not have all data in one source. And let's come back to it and be honest, it's just not patient-friendly because you as a patient, you can't have all of these different apps. So we believe, to be really close to the patient, what is needed is a meta platform. And also, it's difficult to have this from pharma directly because you need all kinds of different brands on it, right? Patients want to have one app where they can manage and get a companion to all of their conditions, treatments, and switch between spaces. And this doesn't need to mean that you can't have branding in it. I also truly believe the branding of the drug, this is what the patient has in their life world. This is how they connect with it, how we get higher conversion rates. to sign up for the brand or for the app, to have all of that in one app. And that is exactly what we're building. The app is called Bright. You can find it on the App Store. It has a general space where patients have different functionalities. It's a super app approach. I'm going to say a bit more about that later. And patients can switch and add different companions depending on the treatments they have. That is a part that comes in for the treatment itself. So once a patient actually got a prescription, the doctor will help, or you will support through your sales teams to hand out this information and app to the patients. But also we can start already one step earlier through awareness. It's also important to generate awareness for a general disease area, to activate the patient through a little quiz, for example, notify them that they're in part of a risk group, and then get them into the digital companion for continuous support. In terms of features, what is important, and I truly believe if we look into product development, you need to copy models, UX patterns that other companies already do right. So what we do is a lot looking into apps from other industries that work well. Let's look at Instagram. You end up in your scrolling feed and you don't really realize how much time has passed. And the same thing works in pharma or with medical content as well. And that is just what we see when we do A/B tests through different UX patterns. So content is a big thing, but make content snackable, apply UX patterns that are already given. Of course, data is important, so the platform has features where patients can track symptoms, where you can also apply questions for your marketing teams, find out more what other treatments did they use before, and so on. We have a first-line support, AI-based. Nobody looks at the package leaflet anymore. It's just not time, up to time. Patients want to have like a feature where they can just ask questions and they will get, in a user-friendly way, the information of the package insert. We have communities which are moderated and guided, and we use AI for side effect monitoring to keep the pharmacovigilance under control. And of course, gamification and engagement. And I think what is also really important to say, digital products are alive. It's not something that you develop and then you give it to your patients and you hire a small tech team to just fix bugs. You need to constantly develop it, right? You need to be in the market, constantly talk with patients, and get their feedback, develop new features, scan the newest trends, bring new technologies in. So you need a tech team that constantly improves this platform. Again, it's important to keep the HCPs also involved. What we do is and there are anyways flyers and marketing materials, put a QR code on it, hand this to the HCP. They will inform the patient, they will save time, they can just hand this out, patients will register on the platform and get the benefits. And again, they can track symptoms and they can bring, the patient themselves can bring this in form of a report to their checkups. So the doctor gets the results as well. Reality check, maybe sounds like a good solution to you, but what is the outcome that we already achieved with some of our pharma partners? This is an example from actually a difficult target group, you would say. It's a drug for the RX area for bladder cancer, where patients are around usually male in their 60s. And we achieved to cover 32% of their patients with this digital treatment companion. And we also see that 72% of patients actually respond even the questionnaires after 3 months. This is also not normal for digital tools. Like often you just register and you leave. And we have around 30% of monthly active users. And another example from the rare disease area, where we see there's also always a very, very high need because there's not much possibility for exchange, is that 15% of patients were included already after 8 months, being covered by this digital companion. We have 95% of users who answered the first 3 questionnaires, which is like a lot of information that you as a pharma company get. And we have around 50% of monthly active users here. And again, also survey outcomes for HCPs or patients. We can see that exactly the problem or the job to be done is something that we can solve. Like valuable to patients is, of course, the information that they get, the education. It improves their self-monitoring and their decision-making process. And they are just feeling more involved as well right? Like you as a pharma company, you are in touch with them, they feel supported. So the psychological benefits also come in. And at the same time, it's valuable to HCPs because they have a support in the patient monitoring. So my message here is, last slide, it would be nice to roll out this digital treatment companion for patients for all treatments worldwide, that patients actually get the information and the companionship that they need to really make the right decisions for their health. And yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions and connect. Any questions?
I don't know if you mentioned it, but does this kind of integrate with other platforms, say like more general, like Apple Health, and more of a, or is that the plan in the future? Because I completely agree with your point that if you just make an app for each branded or unbranded disease area, no one's going to use it. So I like the idea of kind of integrating it into a central platform, but kind of more of preventative life care kind of overall view. What are your thoughts on that, I guess?
Yeah, you're talking about a topic that is on our roadmap already in the near future, to integrate also different fitness trackers. It's a bit of a scattered market, but we also see that it's really important for patients in most of the conditions. Of course, it's also a challenge to make a really tailored and personalized treatment companion app in one app, right? Because treatments are very diverse. And something like movement and fitness tracking is important for a lot of areas. So it's something that we will also incorporate. People can share their data through Apple Health. Not everybody does it. That's also important to say. But to improve also, prediction models, patterns of patients. And thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to understand who creates the content that's in the app. So I think you said you've got 200,000 prescription products, and they're all, pharmaceutical products. I'm assuming you haven't partnered with 200,000 brand teams for that. So just want to understand the content creation process, and then also the process for the patient to access the app, whether that goes through an HCP or how they actually get access.
Yeah. I'm going to start with the first question, how we create the content in the app. We use AI for that, because obviously it's a big field that there's a lot of information to put into the app. We have a medical content team in-house in our company with doctors and pharmacists who create, based on the materials we get from pharma companies, just this more snackable content. So in the treatment spaces, we always work based on information that is already approved from parts in the pharma company, and we just bring it in a different format. AI is really helpful with that, to scale that. And in our general space, we also have publishers. This works similar to social media. So also pharmacies, HCPs, research institutes can publish content on the platform. So through that, we also get more content contributors in the medical area to provide information to patients. And for the registration process, in the RX area, the registration goes mainly, or the information handed over to the patient goes through the doctors. So that is important, because you're not allowed, through the advertising laws in Europe, to advertise this. You need to make sure that the patient takes the drug. We have some pharma companies who are integrated with like links to their websites, but you need to have a little interface first where the patient states that they have the medication. We also do have it with one pharma company, which is not needed, but if the compliance requires it, to have a batch number verification in that field. In the OTC area, that is a bit more free, so there we can put it on any marketing materials that you already have in place. Okay. All right. Then, if there are no more questions, thank you.